Okay, runtime environment in ABAP. That's what the topic is for today. This is our 12th lecture. What is a runtime? Basically, it's happening live and in live session when your project or program is getting executed. There are certain coding blocks that get executed as well on runtime basis. The environment, it represents the controlling instance for an ABAP program. And ABAP programs cannot be executed without the blocks, without runtime environments. It is responsible for the flow control. Flow control means the sequence because there are event blocks in a program that initiate the execution. So those blocks are basically have to be handled. It is responsible for the flow control of dialog sequence and takes care of communication within the SAP system database. What's the program structure? We have the declaration part, the processing, the call, the sequence, the ending statements. What's the declaration part? It consists of a global declaration part, which is where we declare data types, yeah, and we also declare variables, the parameters, that is the declaration part. And of course, when we are declaring structures, types, start that with types and end it with end of types. Okay. Okay. That was the declaration, but the global objects are mainly data declarations that are visible in the processing blocks. In some processing, local data can be declared that can be viewed locally. Okay. Processing blocks are indivisible syntax unit. A processing block cannot include another processing block. So one event cannot actually call another event. Okay, so one event has to open and then close. They're called by either the runtime environment or by runtime environment or by specific statements in other processing blocks. When the first processing block is called, the entire program is loaded into the memory. The call, it simply means how processing blocks are called. If no processing blocks are used in program, the whole program is considered to be under the processing block by default, start of selection. Okay. And it's called by the runtime environment by default. Okay. The sequence, the order of processing blocks is irrelevant to the sequence in which these are executed. Only code in a processing block is executed sequentially. When the execution of processing block is finished, control is returned to its caller. The execution of processing blocks can be ended in one or two ways, either end when the last statement of the processing block has been executed, like start of selection and end of selection is one syntax to explicitly declare processing block. So within that processing block, you can include your logic. Also, on each termination, control is returned to the caller of the processing block. So basically, it returns back to the debugger, for example, and debugger then starts with the another processing block. However, it should be noted that within loops, check and exit affect only the current loop that is getting processed. In latest version, there is a statement return, which always quits the processing block independent of context. So if it encounters the command return, for example, if you are troubleshooting an error and the error is at line 37, you will just add 36, return at 36, so that you can actually see how it is behaving after returning back, how it's just a part of diagnosis that you for the processing log. Okay. So in order to actually check and see how the errors are performing, sometimes you have to give some runtime syntax just to check how it is behaving, just to diagnose your errors in the program. All valid statements of an ABAP program that are not a part of global data declarations belong definitely to a processing blocks. So global data declarations, what is that? When you're declaring types and end of types or data or parameters, of course, that are part of the global data declaration. And other than that, will be a part of the processing block. So anything, if you explicitly declare a processing block or not, it's still having a processing block after the data declarations. To understand ABAP program, it is important to identify the various processing blocks to know at what point these will get executed. Okay. So now let's go and see if we have any codes that will run. I believe we have some code. Okay, we have a long code. Let me just pull that. Okay, okay. We log in. SC38. I pulled the program. PT74 processing blocks. We don't remember and create types, TY mapped, and we'll exchange some fields of TY mapped. Quantity type I is what is this? Let me show it. I think this is part of, but anyway, data internal table, type standard table, and WMAX is also type DY and in work area mapped, which is separate from internal table because we cannot access internal table directly. We are populating some values. Okay. WA MacTex is test and it is also soap. And then we are appending, which is adding rows and records to IT. Okay, simple. Now what we are actually doing is append and insert will actually insert an additional record. Okay, we are appending it. Okay, let's now check it. Does not have a component called amount quantity. But it has a quantity already. Fine, fine. Check. Okay. Activate. Enter. All right. Control Shift F12. We will have a debugger on IT Mac, and let me share it. Direct processing. Okay, we have the debugger and IT match. Double click. Now the program is here. F5. Double click IT match, and we have this is a standard table. Partner 100. Cross. Backtext. Double click. Quantity. Amount. Okay. Now press F5. F5. Getting updated. Getting updated. Console. Paste. Paste. And it appends. Okay. Now Matner again. 300. It's 300 now. Okay. Brush. This gets updated now. So that's how you can actually debug. Okay. Now, I hope this is clear. I hope this is clear. Yeah. Okay. Now, next thing that we are going to do is okay. Okay, it is clear. Thank you. Continue. Oh, now we are adding collect append. Now this is collecting. Now, what's the difference between collect and append? Now, append, insert, and collect, these are statements that actually add records. Okay. Oh, that add record. I will add this to the Git. Okay. These will act as your notes. Okay. It adds to the numeric fields if non-numeric content is the same. Non-numeric will mean that any ID, so it will add to it, because once you're actually printing something like a bill, it can have duplicate items. All numeric fields content should be similar. You can loop certain statements within internal table to process internal tables, and the control break can be applied. Okay. Okay. Next part is we loop the internal tables, and we're using a certain syntax over here. That syntax is loop at ITMac into WMac. At first, now this is a processing block that we are introducing over here. At first and at last and at. Okay. At first, right, at first triggered, and it will also give the status of this as well with right. And at, this is the syntax. At first and at. So we're ending at, and then the next processing blocks come in at last. So at first it will write this, and then at the last, this is the last of the processing blocks. It will write at last is triggered. Okay. So this is one thing. And let me add some more of it. Adding some more. Okay. If we have many loops, we'll have to go a little bit cautiously now. Okay. At first is already here. We will first activate that loop at IT max. At first is triggered at new spras and at end loop. We will deactivate this. Okay. Oh, okay. Loop, and I will also deactivate this so that we can actually run the first loop here, and we can end loop. Okay, loop at ITMac into WMac. Okay, first, okay. Now we'll check it. Incorrect nesting before the end of running a control string while loop must be closed by end loop. Okay, we're missing somewhere. The loop is still open somewhere. Okay, this one. Check, activate, direct processing. Okay, okay. Continue at first is triggered, and the loop is actually run 6 times. Why 6 times? Let's see that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To the 5 steps, it is actually running loop for like 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Control Shift F12. That's it. I will activate it. Okay. Partner, double click, cross, text, quantity, amount. Okay. F5. 200. So paste. So it will actually keep on adding until it actually reaches the other debugger, the debugging point. Okay. It's actually adding and appending all of the records into the work area, and it appends adds back to the internal table because only work area can actually collaborate with internal table because directly we cannot access internal table. Okay. Fine. What I'll do, I'll just paste this code in the Git, and you can copy that because there is another segment to that. I can show you my notes. So there are loops, and we'll have to add this as well. Okay, and it is a long code. What I'll do, I'll add this. We've already added this one. Okay, F5. Go to the next part of the program. So once you actually get the hang of it, it's quite easy. It's just actually updating the records on its own. You don't have to do anything. I'm just waiting for this loop to actually get figured. The internal table gets updated from here. Now the loop will run. Okay. First is triggered. Okay. If I double click system tabs, system tabs, this is one. Last is triggered, and then the loop is run again. So it's running the loop 6 times. Now it's two again. Now it's three. Okay. So it's also updating the records. Okay. It's four now. Okay. So three times of this and 6 times of this. F5. Basically, it's running the loops within a loop using these syntax. Now it's actually, it has gone ahead. Okay, let's go back, continue. Okay, coming back to this, I can add we have this loop. Okay. We'll deactivate this one. And we will remove the debug over here. Just double click that. It goes away. Now we have this loop. Okay. And at end loop. We'll run this and activate, enter. So at first will be triggered first and at new class, new language. If it encounters a new language, it will run a loop. And then it will end it until it doesn't encounter any other language. Okay. And then we can, of course, activate it and run the loop again. Again, it just to show that how loops within loops can be triggered. Okay. Now coming to that at line selection. Okay, let me add this and if and at. Line selection and loop at IT mark into WM mark. We have not actually defined mark. We have only defined MAKT, where works equals WM mark works. So let me just add data of mark as well at line selection. Start of selection. Okay, select start of selection, select matness pass MACTEX from MAKT into table ITMAC where matna equals pmatness pass equals system language. Okay. Line selection is again giving an error. I don't know why. Select works names from T0W to table IT T01W. So we need internal table and work area for mark and for T01W as well. Okay. So I'm giving you this work now. Sort IT mark, loop at IT mark into WM mark, read table IT mark into work area mapped with key matna is equal to mark matna. So mapped is basically dependent on mark on the material number of mark, which will then read the table based on the dictation given by mark matna to read table into IT mapped with work area mapped and read table IT error table T01W and what create user on with key works, mark works. Okay, and then you will write this. So you will have to actually first define your data variable global declaration of the types at the top over here. Same like this. Okay. Just same like this. I'll just give you a hint. Types, begin of PYMARC. And what are the fields? That you'll see. So I've given you a hint, and the same will go with end of PY underscore mark. Types begin of PYT001W. Okay, and then we'll have fields end of PYT01. Okay, and you'll add it. We'll save it. I'll save this to the Git, and you can access it from there. Okay, I'll also update the notes of this code as well. I hope this is easy for you all.